beautiful nail friends. How are you today? Happy New Year. I'm so sorry that this video didn't get up before the new year. It had been my intention to upload it earlier in the week, but life just got in the way. So today I am bringing you an all iGel beauty mani. I am using all iGel products for this set, and I'm going to be using their black, which is at midnight, which is DD73, and I'm also going to be using one of their reflective glitters, which is stunning. It's called Diamond Dust. It's RG1. Look at this. It is so pretty. Like, you can't even see. It's just gorgeous. I love reflective glitters so much. I'm also going to be using for part of the design, wow, I'm still staring at the glitter. For part of this design, I'm also going to be using their light pink, which is DP3. This is like the perfect light pink. It's sheer. It's great for like a French mani or a baby boomer or something like that. Really pretty, very sheer. So just keep that in mind. And I also have, so that's DP3, sorry, getting ahead of myself. And then DP1, which is their clear dip powder. I've had this one for a while. Whoops. My dog just shook herself. So that's their clear. I've used it a lot, as you can see. So yeah, and I'm also going to be using their full dip system, their base and their activator and their top coat. And I also have some cool nail stickers. These are the striping nail stickers. I get all my striping nail stickers from iGel. I love them so much more than striping tape. So there's that. And then these gorgeous rhinestones, which I'll be using as well. So my inspo is this picture right here from, I think it's Fiepedersen on Instagram. She's also on TikTok, so go check her out. She has some amazing designs. Anyway, so that was the inspiration for this mani, and I'm just going to put my own little, kind of a little bit of a twist on it, but it's pretty much following suit with that inspo picture. So what I'm going to start off with is 2 full dips in at midnight for the 2 nails that are going to be solid black, which is my thumb and my middle finger. And it's just going to be a basic dip application. I'm going to apply a coat of my base liquid, being very careful not to touch my my sidewalls or my cuticle, and I'm going to dip straight into the powder. And then I'm going to use my precision tool that I got off of AliExpress to clean up anything that may have moved when I dipped my finger in. And I will mention as well, I always wear peel base, and that is because I change my mani at least once a week, sometimes more often depending, and I just don't like to soak off in acetone. So but when you are doing color blocks, like I will be 2 different ways of doing color blocks in this mani, I always put down a layer of my dip base first and let it dry completely, because if you're going to use tape for color blocking and you use peel base, when you pull the tape up, it will pull up your peel base. So I had already done all of that off camera before I started filming, but yes, I have 2 coats of my peel base and then a coat of the base liquid, let it dry, and now I'm ready to do the dipping process. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting down 2 layers on these 2 fingers, and then when I come back, we're gonna do the first of the 2 different ways to color block, and I'll be back in a moment. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am going to be that was my dog again. I'm going to be encapsulating in clear as I go. So I'm done with color for these two nails. So now I'm going to encapsulate in the clear dip powder. This is going to help with, when I shape and buff, protects the color, make sure that I don't like accidentally file off my color. And I'm going to mention that you saw that little white spot on my nail before I started applying the base. Well, that's from the alcohol that I cleaned my finger off with. I was getting some of the black powder off, and sometimes alcohol will make a darker color cloudy or, you know, white like that. It comes right off. As you saw, it disappeared the minute the base liquid touched it, so it's not a big deal. And my dog has decided to play right now when I'm doing a voiceover. She's been sleeping all morning. Silly girl. Okay, so now I'm activating that. And I'm doing this because I am going to be using some glitter, and I don't want glitter to get stuck in my, you know, solid black nails. So activating helps prevent that. So I dipped in clear, now I'm activating, and then I'm going to move on. And now we are at the point where we will do the first of the two kinds of color blocking I'm doing in this set. And for this, I am using these nail stickers. I got these on Amazon. I will link them in the description box. Unfortunately, iGel does not sell anything like this. I don't use these very often. Usually I just use my color blocking tape. But because this was something that needed more of a curve to it, I decided to use these just for, you know, convenience and ease of, you know, yeah, that. So I'm going to do this on both my pinky and my index finger. And once I have these stickers laid down, and let me tell you, it was a little bit of a challenge to get them laid down and centered and all of that, but I managed, and then I was able to move on to the dipping process for this. So I'm going to start off with RG1, which is the reflective glitter, and I'm going to just place it at the cuticle line. I try not to get too much liquid on the sticker, because peeling it up, that can be risky, but yeah, that was kind of hard because of the small space, but I managed okay, and it peeled off just fine. So now I'm just, again, cleaning up my cuticle line, making sure that there's nothing touching the skin. And yeah, the other thing about color blocking, especially when you're using tape, I do not wait until it's completely dry. And that is because if you peel it up while it is still soft and wet, you can use a tool like I'm going to be using here to like straighten out or smooth out and make the lines really crisp. And you can't do that if you activate or if you let it dry completely. So that's my little tip with color blocking. I personally don't activate. I just don't find it necessary. I'm using this cute little iGel brush to dust off the glitter. It's so cute. And I love that it's purple, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on my index finger. And when I come back, we're going to apply the black dip powder to complete this color block. So hang tight. Okay, so here is the part that can be a little bit tricky with color blocking. Because it's a dip-based liquid and it is a resin, not a gel, you can't use any brush other than the brush that comes in the bottle unless you want to ruin one of your good brushes, or if you have a yucky brush that you don't care about. But when you have a tight, like specific shaped space that you are applying liquid into, it can get a little tricky. So what I did, because this is a curved shape, I took my dip liquid brush and I fanned it out really like as flat as I could. And I started at the center of my nail and I pushed the brush as close to that glitter edge as I could. And it almost was the perfect shape to fill that space with base liquid. Watch here. See, I fan it out, and I push, and then I pull it back towards the free edge. That was the easiest way I found to fill that space. And then I dipped my finger in sort of at a almost it was more than a 90-degree angle. I kind of dipped it forward so that the powder kind of met that curve. I don't really know how else to explain it. But I was just very careful and tried to not get too much of the black on the silver. It does brush away pretty easily with a stiff bristled brush, but I just wanted to make sure not to make a muddy mess of that gorgeous reflective glitter. So what I'm doing here is I am also going to encapsulate this nail in clear. I only did one layer of this color block, and that is because later on, after I file and buff, I'm going to be sugaring the reflective glitter and also sort of sugaring and mattifying the black on those nails. So it's a technique that I'm using only because I'm using all dip liquids for this look, and I don't, iGel doesn't have any currently. I'm hoping that it's in the works. Hashtag product request. I really wanted iGel to come out with a HEMA-free sensitive gel line, which I'm really hoping they will in the future. Who knows? But for now, I can only use their dip liquid system. So I'm going to be attempting a matte look without any gel. We'll see how it goes. So I did one layer of that color block, and we'll do more to those nails later. And now I'm going to use this micron pen. It's a very fine, fine black marker almost, but it's tiny, tiny tip. And this helps me to kind of draw out the shape that I want my next color block to be. Now this is a freehand color block. I will not be using any tape. This is the second technique for color blocking that I'm going to be using in this look. So in order to make sure that my design is uniform and the shape that I want it to be, I am using this micron pen because then I can just follow the lines with my dip liquid. So that just makes it a little bit easier because I'm not one of those people who can just eyeball it. I need a guide, and this just helps me. And because the dip I'm using is black, I do have these micron pens in other colors too. I think I have a green, a blue, a purple, a red. So I use them when I need to draw out a design that I'm afraid to eyeball because, I'm human and I'm not that artistic. Believe it or not, I'm creative. I have a lot of creativity in my mind. However, executing my ideas sometimes doesn't always go so well. So creative, yes. Artistic, maybe not so much, but I do my best. So here you'll see I am using the guide that I drew to know where to place my dip liquid. And then I gently dipped my finger into the powder, and there is the first part of our design. Now here comes the tricky part. See, I use this tool a lot just to clean up the lines a little bit. This is from Tweezerman. I got it, oh my gosh. I have probably had this cuticle pusher for, I may have had it for 20 years or more. It's old. But I use it all the time. It's one of the best nail purchases I've made. So anyway, if I can find it, I will link it in the description box. Here comes the trickiest part. See, this little small area near the cuticle is tricky because I'm trying to follow the design and not get the liquid on my cuticles, which I wasn't that successful at. I actually kind of made a mess, but it was easy to clean up afterwards, which was fine. So, you know, we make it work, right? Anyway, once I get the liquid mostly where I want it, I am then going to dip back into the powder. And as you'll see, I mean, At Midnight is quite pigmented. It has a lot of color, so it gets a little messy, but you know, with a little bit of cleanup, it works out just fine. And so I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to do 2 layers of this black for this color block, and then we will go in with the light pink. And that, because At Midnight, as I said, is super pigmented, it can be a little tricky. You don't want your pink to turn gray, so you have to be super careful. I'm not sure if I was 100% successful with that, but it turned out looking fine, so you'll see when we get there. I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll get on to that part of it. Okay, so I used my cuticle pusher to straighten out some of the edges and a Q-tip with a little bit of alcohol to clean up most of that black pigment that got in that empty space where the light pink needs to go. And now we're going to carefully apply our base liquid, my base liquid. I'm going to apply it. I'd love it if you were here helping me, but you're not. So I'm going to apply my base liquid in that empty space as carefully as I can, trying not to get it on the black and just in the empty space. And then I'm gonna pour over with the light pink. And the reason that I'm doing that is because a lot of times when you dip your finger in to a powder, it can move the liquid around, and I want to try to keep that liquid in that space. so that I don't get the pink all over the black and then I have to fix it. Ugh, it just gets messy. And there were some spots that still got on the black, but in the end, with filing and everything, it was fine. And one thing to keep in mind with a color block like this, because we're going to be adding beautiful crystals along that line, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just doesn't. So there's no point in trying to make it a perfect. The only time that you have to care about a line for a color block being perfect is if you don't plan on covering it with anything. Like if you're not going to use striping tape, if you're not going to add crystals, then yeah, you want to try to get the line as straight as possible. However, since I am going to be covering that line up and nobody's going to know how crooked or wonky it is, I'm not going to worry too much about that. So now that I have my pink, oh, there was a little dog hair in there. Life with pets. Now that I have got my pink in that little space, I'm going to encapsulate again in clear, and I'm going to activate, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a little filing on camera because I am using my iGel Beauty Model XS e-file, and they also sent me their filing kit, their hand file kit. I'm so excited about trying that. So I'm going to do some of that on camera for you. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention, iGel Beauty was kind enough to send me the products for this mani, with the exception of the Model XS e-file, which I already owned, at midnight, which was already part of my collection, and the striping stickers, which I also already owned. But everything else, the other colors, oh, and I already owned the clear too. But everything else, the light pink, the gems, and the liquid set were sent to me as PR. So, and here is my Model XS. Of course, it's purple. And so, yeah, I'm going to set it to 9 RPMs. That's about where I'm comfortable. And I am using the diamond bit from iGel. This I already owned as well. I do own a lot of iGel Beauty products that I purchased with my own money. So, you know, they just sent me what I didn't have and what I needed for this mani that I didn't already have. So the reflective glitter, the light pink, the gems, and the liquid set. Those I did not already have, and they are now mine because they gave them to me. And I'm very excited about that. I am using a dust collector that I purchased on Amazon. This is not an iGel Beauty dust collector. I have not pulled the trigger on that yet because I've had this one and it still works really well, so I couldn't justify buying a new dust collector. But if this one ever dies, I'm eyeing that dust collector from iGel Beauty for sure. As you can see, I have already started e-filing, and I like to focus on my cuticle area and my apex, and I do that to clean up that cuticle line and to make that nice curve that you like to see for the apex. I do refine that a bit with my hand file, but I like to get a good foundation of shape with my e-file first. I am using the diamond bit also from iGel Beauty. I have to admit, it is my favorite bit of all time, and I use it for every mani. I love it so much. And yes, I do already own a good amount of iGel Beauty products. I am a fan. I have been for a while now. Yeah, so I've got their e-file, their bits. I have a lot of their colors. I have now their lip dip dip liquid set and some gems. I love their striping stickers. I have them in every single color because I will never ever use that crazy striping tape ever again. Striping stickers are the way to go. Way more easy to control and use. So I'm gonna let you watch me e-file a little bit. I, however, did not show every finger on camera. I think I did my thumb and my index finger, and then I will move on to some hand filing for you. Okay, so I am using the 150 grit hand file from iGel Beauty's hand file kit. The kit comes with a bunch of different files, a 180, 100, 150, 240, and a really fine one. And then there's some buffing files as well. I will be using one of the buffers once I'm done filing, but for the shaping, I really like this 150 grit. It's not too harsh like the 100, but it's a little bit more substantial than the 180, which I was using before. So I actually really enjoyed using this 150 grit. And it was really easy control and handle, so I'm happy with this. I'm probably going to be using it from now on, and I may have to order more when this one gets worn out. So I'm excited about that. And it's a not expensive, this kit. I mean, I got this one for free, but when I looked on the website, I mean, it's pretty reasonably priced for what you get. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and file these nails up. I am focusing on smoothing out and shaping that cuticle area and focusing on the apex and the free edge, taking down some of the thickness, shaping up the sidewalls a bit. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. And then I hold my thumbnail so that I can see it, and I file straight horizontally to get that nice straight free edge. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I didn't show all the nails because it's pretty much the same process for every nail. But now I'm going to go ahead and use that buffer I mentioned, and I'm going to smooth this out because I am doing a somewhat matte look on two nails. I want them to be as smooth and bump free as possible. Since I'm not going to be applying any kind of gel liquid that would smooth out the surface, I need to really buff those babies up. So that's what you see there. And now we're going to get into the sugaring process. So I have to use these lovely stickers again. I'll be using the same process I did before, trying to follow that same line as closely as I possibly can, applying my dip base liquid and then dipping into the glitter. And then we will do the same process with the black, but instead of encapsulating and filing again, I'll just be basically hitting it with some activator and then buffing. So that's the process. I am going to stop talking now, and I will jump in if I feel like there's anything else I need to explain, but you've seen me do this process once already, so I don't feel like I need to do a lot of yammering on about it. So I'll just stop chatting and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now that I have buffed and mattified those two nails, I am going to be creating a guide for myself. As I said when I was doing the freehand color block, I am not an artist. I cannot eyeball things very well. So I found a design on one of my stamping plates that was a perfect circle, and I'm removing the center of it so that I can use the outline as a guide for the crystal New Year's Eve ball that I will be creating with the lovely crystals that iGel sent me. I need a circle guide because I don't want it to look like a crazy oval or something. So I'm just applying that to my nail, making sure that it sticks enough that I can see where the circle is. It wasn't perfect, but that's okay. I don't need it to be. I just need it to be round enough. And then I'm going to apply a white striping sticker, sort of as a line for the ball to be centered on. You know, when you see the ball drop, the pole that it's on, that's the idea. So before I've already activated my nails, okay? I've already activated them after buffing and filing and everything. And now I have, laid down the foundation for my circle with a stamp, and now I'm applying the striping sticker up over that, and then I'm going to top coat over everything. Once I'm done top coating, we'll get into the crystal application on my ring and middle fingers. So here comes the part that was a bit tedious. This mani took a while, guys. I did one hand one night and the other hand the next day because it just has a lot of steps and a lot of just details that Yeah, it took a while. I mean, this is a long video. This is probably one of my longest videos. It's about 48 minutes long. And if you're, stuck it out and you're here with me, thank you for staying and watching. But I understand if you want to skip around, I will have timestamps down in the description box. So if you want to just see a specific portion of the video, that's fine. But as I mentioned before, I am only using dip liquids for this application. So I'm not using iGel Beauty's crystal gel, which they do have, but I'm not using it because I wanted to show that you can do a look like this using only dip liquids. And since I have a gel sensitivity, and I know that lots of people out there have gel sensitivities, they want to know how to do things like this without having to use gel. So that's what I'm trying to show here. This process is incredibly messy. I put some of my top coat liquid on a little plastic baggie so that I don't ruin one of my good palettes. And I'm using an orange stick for the same reason. I want to be able to apply the liquid without ruining anything because it is resin, and once it dries, it will ruin whatever tool you are using. So I'm using things that are disposable. I don't care if they get ruined. So I'm applying with I'm applying the top coat in the area that I need it with the orange stick, and then I'm using my gem picker to place the gems where I want them, and I'm doing a graduated size. So I'm doing a kind of a larger stone and then 2 smaller stones on either side, and then the tiny stones all the way out to the cuticle and the free edge on that curve that I created with my color block. And then when I'm done doing that, we will create our crystal New Year's Eve ball. So what I did was I applied 4 of the medium-sized crystals in sort of a random pattern in the center of the circle I created with that stamp. And now I'm going to fill in with the tiny itty-bitty little crystals to make it a circle so that it looks like a ball. And that's pretty much it. It's tedious. It took some time, and it was a little bit frustrating at times, trying to apply the top coat and get the gem where I wanted it. Thankfully, iGel's top coat, when not activated, is somewhat slow drying, so I had lots of time to place the liquid and get the gem where I wanted it to be. But you know, it was a tedious process. And I'm not going to make you watch the entire thing because it sure did take a while. So here I am. And I skipped ahead a little bit so that you could see me finishing it up. Because who wants to sit around and watch me apply gems for an hour? It really did take a while. I think the outcome was worth it though. I mean, it's beautiful. It's sparkly. It definitely is reminiscent of the ball that drops on New Year's Eve, in my opinion. So I'm kind of loving that. In the inspo picture, the ball was actually an ornament. It had a bow on it. I wasn't going to go there because this was a mani for New Year's Eve. I didn't want it to look Christmassy, so I decided to make it the New Year's ball instead. And I think it worked out pretty well. Plus, it meant I didn't have to try to freehand a bow. Because again, not an artist. So that's all done. I am so relieved to be finished with all those gems. And now I'm going to apply my cuticle oil. This is from Candy Skincare. This is, I think it's called Cup of Cheer. And it smells divine. So I'm just going to rub some of that in and we are all done finally. Longest video ever. You guys are so patient. If you're still here with me, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I do wish that I was able to get this out before New Year's, but better late than never. And I just really am glad I got it done to begin with because life was not cooperating. So let me know what you think down in the description box. Was this worth the 48 minutes that you took to watch it? How do you think I did with the recreate? Did I come pretty close? I mean, I don't know. I think it worked out pretty well. I'm excited about it. I hope you are too. Thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you to iGel Beauty for sending me all these items. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye now.